I guess the goal today is to very briefly go through what Laos network, this layer 1 that is coming live to mainnet in July, is about, and the possibilities that it offers, and why, if you wanted, you should bother about learning about it and potentially using it to scale your dApps. And then quickly go to use cases and how can you use it more at the developer level, going through the docs, and as well as running a very specific example that probably will highlight the most interesting part of what Laos can offer. So please do not wait until we finish the slides or the presentation and interrupt us anytime you want. We will greatly appreciate if you do that. So if nobody says otherwise, we've prepared some slides to quickly go through Laos. I'll start with the value proposition and what we are trying to solve here. So you know that the main blockchains outside Polkadot, some of the main blockchains are heavily crowded in the sense that they are almost completely congested. And if they are not, they regularly do, reflecting in spikes in their gas price, etc. So just to give you an example, Ethereum itself, just Ethereum alone, just the gas fees paid in 2022, these are data that I got, I'm sure now it's even higher, amounted to $1 billion just in gas fees and just for minting NFTs in this case, right? It represented 20% of all transactions, of all gas costs paid on Ethereum during that year. And that 20% seems to be kind of consistent across other chains like Polygon. And just for reference, if you combine all the gas costs that all layer 2s on Ethereum, and some of them are incredibly popular these days, right? So we've got here some names that you're maybe familiar with. This data is very old already. There are many more and with much larger market cap. So back to the first slide. If you combine the gas cost that all of them consumed on Ethereum just to synchronize, they need to report what the root, the state is, as well as the transaction data, etc., and all that stuff. It amounted to 10 to 13% only before the DevCon upgrade, all right? And that alone motivated an entire upgrade of the protocol on Ethereum to support that 13%. With Laos, we're talking about, as you will see, the possibility of offloading up to, this 20% that is already there, and potentially much more that people are not consuming these days because it's so congested and so expensive. All right, so the opportunity is pretty large if you can help scale that 20%. Of course, you can scale through layer 2s. Even then, the output, the combined throughput of layer 2s is not that large. It's very small indeed. They get congested very regularly, like Polygon. Every time there is a mildly successful game, it's congested and it goes out of operations almost for a regular user, or you end up paying so much more, right? And it's not just, and I want to stress this, it's not just about layer 2s, which, by the way, they offer a massive added value. I'm not saying I'm a fan of how they are accruing value for Ethereum, but they are doing that at the cost of security. Some of them have security patterns that, from the point of view of an Ethereum really solid developer, would be considered almost a joke. And I'm serious about it. You just go to this website that I'm a fan of as well, where they monitor the security risks that these layer 2s are still offering. And you will find, please go there, and you will find all sorts of things. Like, for example, this one that's supposed to have challenges of the roots enabled, they don't, and hence they can lie, and an incorrect root can be there, which means that people will be unable to withdraw the money, for example, just to give you an example. And then you will see all sorts of red things everywhere because these layer 2s are still not at the level of security we would like. So even though they add massive amount of value, they do that at a cost. And not to mention that people have to breach their currencies to be able to start operating on them, okay? So one thing that Laos is really good at and specializes is that offloading some of the transactions that you do on these networks, not all of them, unlike layer 2s. So we cannot compete against that at all. We don't want to. But up to this 20% from all those chains can be offloaded. And the whole point is without bridges to Polkadot. Okay, in this case, to Laos as a parachain that sits on Polkadot going live in July. All right, and the without bridges is super important, and we'll see how this works. Super quickly, it means that when you use it, your users remain on Ethereum, they remain on Polygon, wherever you want them to remain, without having to bridge, right? So they can operate with minting, for example, of the NFTs you're doing that you're uploading for them. They continue to use Matic, they continue to use ETH, for example, at a massively much better TPS, especially when we use async backing and when we implement the latest stages of Laos, as you will see in the roadmap if you go there and check, in a fully decentralized way, without all those red flags that you saw on L2Bit on that website, instantly, and we can do it for basically every programmable blockchain, not just for one, as opposed to these layer 2s that just scale one of the major L1s underneath. Okay, so why should you use Laos if you were interested? Well, because you can choose where your users are going to be. If you're developing a game or you're developing real-world assets or things like this, they are going to enjoy all the ecosystem already present in Polygon or Ethereum, etc., which is massive, and all the liquidity is there, and all the DeFi pools are there, and all that stuff, right? You don't force them to migrate to Laos. You just offload the transactions that you would have to cost yourself otherwise on Ethereum or on Polygon. So you reduce massively the minting costs for you as a developer. If you were developing a game or real-world assets, for example, you're not going to congest the layer 1. You're not going to congest Ethereum or Polygon. So you can build use cases where you go wild in terms of, for example, minting. It's not just about the cost. It's also about the possibility of doing it, not just how much you could pay for it. We mentioned it. Your users will benefit from their standard wallets, their standard currencies they already have. They don't need to bridge them. Also very important for you and for many developers, of course. Many blockchains, many layer 1s offer very generous grants to incentivize usage there. So you can still opt to them while using Laos to offload, right? Because your users, your wallets, they remain there and they potentially use that ecosystem where you're contributing to. And of course, you can also opt to grants from Laos as well, which if you check our grants program, you can see that conditions. And just talking about use cases, and this is just one, but perhaps one that particularly I'm a fan of. So instead of building a use case where you just mint a few assets because of the congestion and the price and all that stuff, and you play with extreme scarcity, which everybody has seen many examples of that over the last years, it's okay. We don't want to go against it, but there are other use cases now. Use cases where you mint massively. For example, you give away many assets or a few assets to every single player of your DApp, of your game, blockchain game that you're building, at basically zero price, because you can forget about that, or it's almost free for you to mint all those assets to the users, and you will not congest the network. Expecting users to, as they use the DApp, as you use the game or whatever they are you've built, they evolve these assets, they make them more attractive to other users, and they eventually get sold, as opposed to because they are just a few, because only a few have been evolved so much, right? So all this area here in this triangle, right, is people engaging with your DApp, even if only the top of the triangle represents assets that have been evolved enough to be worth trading. Okay, and this is just one of the use cases based not on scarcity but on abundance, if you want it. Okay. So this is the introduction to Laos. Gerard now is going to go through a very quick demo that highlights what we just mentioned.
Yes. So let me share my screen. And as Toni said at the beginning, if you have any questions, either now of what Toni has explained or after or while I'm doing the live demo, please feel free to let us know on the comments. We'll make sure to answer. So let me share my screen. And okay, so you should be seeing, this is the laosnetwork.io page. I just wanted to show you that the demo that I'm going to do, you can do it on your own now or after this presentation. It's quite easy. You can try it here on Try Religious Minting now. This is just an onboarding tool that we use to showcase these examples, right? But of course, everything, as you will see at the end, can also be done programmatically. So what we are going to do with this interface is...
Maybe, Gerard, before you go on, we're going to be using the testnet of Laos that has been live since December last year. It started in Kusama, and very soon the testnet will go to mainnet on Polkadot.
This is an important part. I was going to skip that. If you want to do this demo yourself, please go to the faucet part, and you will be able to get some Laos test tokens and do the demo using this testnet. In this case, I already have enough tokens. And as you will see on my MetaMask here, I will be using two different accounts. One I've named backend and starts with 0. And the second one, it's named user. I'm doing this differentiation basically to showcase that despite you use Laos, the end user doesn't need to know about it, right? And we will see how this works on this live example.
Where are you going to mint? In which platform? In which network?
Okay, so this is a good example. We can choose. In this user interface, we have Ethereum or Polygon as two options, but the current implementation is already compatible with any EVM. It's just that this is just a nice UI for it, and we just have two examples.
So this UI supports only these two, but they can choose any blockchain.
Exactly. Yes. So I will just select Polygon since I don't want to then be able to pay a lot of ETH in order to do transfers and so on and so forth. So here, just for the sake of the example, I have some predefined elephant here, and
you want to put the date somewhere in the name so that we see we are sure it's today.
I can put 14th May 1:70 p.m. CET. That's the current time now. And if I wanted, I could put some attributes like time 1:70. Okay. Then one thing that I will not do in this demo, since I want to keep it as short as possible, is the actual deployment of the collection. So if you don't want to do the deployment of the collection, we have in this example tool, we have two collections that are already pre-deployed, one for Polygon and one for Ethereum that anyone can use. An important point here is when you deploy these collections is where you actually link the collection that you actually deploy on Polygon or Ethereum to the assets that will be minted in Laos.
Offload it to Laos.
Offload it to Laos, exactly, yes. We can go into more details on that specific later on if you have questions. But for now, I just want to go to the demo so we can finish it on time. And then I will just mint it to the user that I had here prepared. So then I can finish the demo with that. So first part is we are uploading the data, the image to IPFS, and then we are just signing this mint. The important thing to notice here is that I'm not paying in Matic. I'm paying in KLaos tokens that are the test tokens of the Laos testnet.
So this is important. Eh? If you were a developer developing a game, whatever app you're making, you would not pay ETH, you would not pay Matic. You would just use Laos tokens for doing that.
Exactly.
Actually, that creator account, I think it didn't even have Matic or ETH.
Exactly. So in fact, we can, while this is being confirmed, I can change the network to Polygon if I want to validate that indeed the backend account that I used to mint doesn't have any Matic at all. Okay, so that's it. No Matic for this account. Having said that, the asset was minted. We can check it here, and it was minted to the other owner, right? So if I go with the user account,
yes, so now it's important, right? So this has been the journey of the creator. Right? You could mint 1 million of these assets on Polygon or Ethereum right now. We're just minting one by one in the demo. And you know that Laos exists, and you use Laos to offload the minting, right? Mm-hmm. Now the user joins. The user doesn't know Laos existed.
Exactly. So now I'm acting as the user. This account ending in 06F is the user. You see that I'm connected here. And now I can add my asset to MetaMask. Okay, there are some settings if I want to see NFTs in MetaMask that I need to do. I already had that done. And basically what I'm doing now is I'm adding the asset to MetaMask. So MetaMask is validating that indeed me, the user that has never seen Laos, is able to see the asset. It's able to validate MetaMask that I am the owner indeed of this asset, and it's able to fetch the data of the asset that was minted. Okay, so I can say okay, and now I will be able to see it under my NFT section. So this is a test that I did just before.
So note that MetaMask is connected to Polygon, right? So it's asking the Polygon network whether you're the rightful owner.
Exactly. And this is the part that we can offload, right? So the minting has been already offloaded. Everything that comes after that, meaning the trading, meaning if I want to send this asset to somebody else, this I will interact with Polygon as it would with any regular ERC-721 in this example. So I would be paying Mateos. And if you want, I can do that. So I can go here and I can send this asset to whatever account I want. And you will see that indeed for the send, I am paying Matic as a user. And remember, as a user, I didn't see any Laos transaction at all. It was just a regular asset for me, right? So I confirm, and then I'm just sending the elephant to whatever other account I had here loaded, right? And it got confirmed, and I would be able to validate that indeed this is no longer my asset. I could be able to even go to OpenSea and see the asset there, and so on and so forth. I can see the transactions, but maybe let's see. So we want to check it on.
Yeah, if you want to check on Laos, that it was minted, actually it's that address directly, that link. I just copy pasted.
Yes, I can check the. Sorry, guys. I can check the transaction here.
Yeah, if you go.
Let me put it to the other browser that I had everything else. So this is the actual minting that took place.
If you go down in the logs, you will see. You should be able to see.
Yes.
The parameters.
So everything that was done on Laos. Mm-hmm. And then as a user, I might not go there at all, right? I might want to go into the app that shows the asset. I might want to go to trading it on OpenSea and so on and so forth. And I would be able to do so as a regular one, right? So this is the elephant 14th of May 117 that we just did.
So this is OpenSea Polygon collections, no?
Correct. This is this collection, as said, it was already pre-created, right? And this was a public one. Anyone can mint in this collection. For every user, they can create their own collections that, of course, are private and that have exactly the same functionality. Mm-hmm. We have on our GitHub the contracts published. All the code from the nodes that are running Laos are also completely open source, apart from these demos and the documentation. And
yeah, so maybe what did you have planned after that?
So it depended on what you guys wanted to do. Now I did one mint using the user interface. I could do the same thing with simple script of Node.js if you want it.
Yeah, so maybe
having said that, we have these in the documentation as you wish.
Yeah, so one thing we haven't mentioned is that Laos is 100% EVM compatible. So you can use the standard tooling, Hard Hat or Remix, anything that you're using normally to interact with Moonbeam or Ethereum or Polygon or any other layer 2s.
Correct. That's indeed right. So I want to pause here for a second, give the opportunity if we have any question to be able to answer that. If not, we can show how to do that example. or
yeah, let's go to the documentation. Yeah.
You want to go to the documentation, or I go straight away on the example?
Let's check the docs. I'm checking whether there are questions, and then if there are any questions, I'll interrupt you.
Okay, good. Okay, so first, laosnetwork.io, that's the main webpage. We have gone to the demo section or the onboarding section here, trying the bridgeless minting, since we haven't used any bridge in order to do the whole demo. And then under resources,
maybe
we have.
So there is one question.
Got it.
What are the possibilities of Laos? Can you execute an EVM bytecode on it and execute that on an optional chain? No, so Laos is a fully independent chain, right? So there is you interact with it as you were interacting with a separate layer one. The way it is connected to other layer ones is by basically leveraging something that was developed, maybe you know about it already in the Polkadot ecosystem, called universal location. It's been a number of years already that parachains in Polkadot are, because they share the security from the layer one and as well as the pattern for doing things across chains. So they have this need to reference things that live on a different parachain, right? So from an account, if you're in Moonbeam, an account that lives on Akala or vice versa, or just a register, you can fine grain as much as you want, or even a contract address and try to even send bytecode there through what's called XCM, right? If you're familiar with it. So in the version 3 of XCM, actually they extended this to consensus systems that also live outside Polkadot, so that you can refer from Polkadot and from other consensus systems to anything you want in other layer ones, or even parachains inside layer ones, or even layer twos inside layer ones, and so on and so forth, if you want it, right? So we've started leveraging this really hardly to be able to establish this connection that we skipped at the beginning. When you link a collection, a contract, a 7-to-1 contract on Polygon in this case, with a similar entity, a sibling collection that we refer to, that sits on Laos. Okay. So it's two consensus systems referring to things that live on each other's consensus system to be able to establish this without the bridge. You use the protocol instead. But back to the question, no, you cannot execute directly any bytecode on Ethereum by triggering it on Laos or vice versa.
Yeah, so to just clarify on that one, maybe go a little bit more detail on how are those two collections created and how do we mint assets if you cannot execute?
Maybe if you want, we can do that.
Okay.
We can go through other questions if you want first. You choose.
If we can briefly mention it, maybe
okay,
just to close the previous one, and then we go for next ones. So what we do here is on the collection that's deployed on Ethereum or Polygon, for instance, we have already a big amount of slots, right? I don't know if you want to share that, Toni, that you are
preparing. Let me share it, and maybe it helps.
Let me stop sharing.
Entire screen.
Yeah. So basically, exactly. Now you should be seeing yes, correctly, you are seeing it. So on the left side of the screen, you have the collection that's being deployed on Polygon or Ethereum, has already almost infinite amount of slots already there permitted that point to the same amount of slots on Laos using this universal location that Toni was mentioning before. That's why if you add content to one of those slots in the sibling collection in Laos, then automatically and without the need of using any bridge, the asset that's minted on Ethereum, for example, it's already populated with the metadata that's added once the minting is on the Laos side. Right?
Okay, there are more questions. Is Laos built with using Substrate? Yes, it is. Actually, just to super quickly go through it. So this is the testnet. Using Polkadot.js frontend. This is basically using all the Substrate libraries to interact with it. The standard thing, chain state, extrinsics, all that stuff. Whereas it also has an EVM palette, of course, a frontier that we're using. very similar, identical to Moonbeam. We are really leveraging work done by others here, and we're very thankful for that. And this is, for example, the standard Block Scout EVM-like Explorer for the same network. All right, so you can interact with it just like Moonbeam, actually, yeah, through the EVM frontend and the RPC endpoint, or through the Substrate endpoint and standard Substrate libraries. Can we also build the smart contracts using Rust Inc? We don't support that yet, but it is in the realm of possibilities, definitely. So there is a roadmap. We have some initial priorities. Very soon, we're going to. Among the first priorities is to actually decentralize the governance. So there's token generation event on July. The roadmap is published by September. We really going to work hard to decentralize the network, the collators to being permissionless, and the decisions being made by the community. And as soon as that is done, all the community can help drive the new features of Laos. And if Inc contracts is one of them, wonderful. I understand, but Polygon and Ethereum are not
already solved that one. If the person that asked that latest one regarding to the Rixos meeting and how the universal location can be used despite the Ethereum not being part of the Polkadot ecosystem, if it's not clear enough, let us know and we can revisit that. If not, I believe we already extended a bit there.
Okay. So you were maybe I can. You were going to inspect the documentation.
Go ahead.
Okay. So if you go docs.laos.network.io, you're gonna be basically you'll find here everything you need basically. Okay. So you will mostly be interested on the interface, I guess, to start executing these mints we were talking about, or you can also update the asset. This is important if you want to evolve it, and everything is going to be leaving traces on chain. So if your asset ends up being much better than it was at the beginning, people will be able to understand the stages and when they took place for that evolution. The node, of course, very important. The node is open source. This is where the main development, the main repository sits. And here you have all the endpoints and everything you may need. And I think Gerard maybe wanted to conduct a very simple example with Node.js.
Yes. So in fact, on the repo, we have also some basic examples, and I can go over that just to showcase. It's very simple, but to showcase what we have just done. So let me share my screen. Okay. So just to recap, we have been using a user interface to do the mint in the first part of the demo. Now, I would do as backend would actually be doing without interacting with this interface, right? So I just went and cloned the Laos examples repo. So we have several examples here, right? I would focus on the single mint. This is minting an asset. You will see references of asset metadata extender. This is something that we will not cover in details in this call. If it's interesting for some of you, we can go after that. It's basically exploiting the same pattern, but the other way around. Instead of from Ethereum mentioning to Laos, doing it the other way around. So basically, it allows users to extend assets that already are created in any other
like a Bored Ape.
Exactly. You can basically say things about a Bored Ape or propose a new look and feel of this asset. In the same link that we have shown the Rixos minter, you can also do that, just to explain why we are seeing some of those extensions here. And this is a very simple implementation, interacting with the EVM
palette and RPC endpoint. Yeah,
exactly. So the only thing that I change is to who I want to mint the asset. I have created an env file with a private key, so that's there. And apart from that, I'm mentioning which collection I'm actually doing the minting to. And finally, where is the whole properties of the data stored, that I believe we also have an example on how to upload this to IPFS if needed. Having said that, going quite straight away, it's a very simple transaction that will do the minting of the asset. It's already sent, it's waiting for confirmation.
As you probably know, parachains in Polkadot currently have 12 seconds finality. Well, finality is a bit large, it's 24, right? So 12 seconds is block production. Hopefully it reduced to 1/2 when we go to async backing. But just for comparison, Ethereum, if you want to wait for finality, is above 2.5 minutes. And dApps really have to wait that long. Although they can show you an initial confirmation, they should really wait that long if the transaction is important, if they want to do something else.
Yeah. So basically, it's just to showcase that the same thing happened here, that indeed I minted the asset to the user that ends with 06F. So you will see that
it's hard to see, but
yes.
But yeah.
06F is the user. So then I'm basically able to go to the Bridges Minter and see my assets. I could go and query directly in order to see those assets, or I can do it in any other way. Basically, you see the same asset twice because I did it more than once before the demo.
Okay, so there are some more questions before that. If you feel like going ahead and doing the 1 million pixels image, remember this very old, early days internet guy that made a screen of 1 million pixels and sold one by one for $1 each. You can do that on Ethereum today if you wanted to be provocative about the things that you can do. So each individual pixel could be an NFT. Individually minted in Laos for Ethereum. They are asking about core time is here, isn't it? Can arrange your own finality as needed. Absolutely, yes. It isn't really here. It's in Kusama, as far as I know, and it's not yet in Polkadot. It's not 100% clear when it will make it into Polkadot. And this is the reason why the auctions were extended recently. I think we are on the 3rd auction of the new batch. So it's unclear whether this auction batch is going to be the last one or not, as far as I am aware. Maybe there are news from the last week. But yeah, as soon as core time comes here, you can have a finality completely decided by you, as long as you pay for the core time you're using, yes.
So we haven't anything more prepared. So if it's okay, we will just leave a couple of minutes to see if there are some additional questions. If not, you can always find us first on the Laos network site. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see all the socials. So you can contact through Discord, through Telegram group, and you can also find the GitHub documentation there that we have shown and everything else. And that would be it. If you are interested to build with Laos, we would encourage it. Just a reminder, there is also a grants program that is accessible through the webpage, and this is not exclusive to Laos. In case you build with another chain, you can have the possibility to have both. And that's it. We are really excited to be part of this ecosystem. Very excited to launch mainnet in July, and we hope to see you all there
in Laos. Yeah. There are no other questions. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.